So Cavan 113, Donegal 12 points, and wow, I mean that is I've no words at this point to be perfectly honest. I really just don't know what to say anymore. What a win for Cavan! What a win for Cavan! I mean they win their first Ulster Championship in 23 years. An extraordinary result for Cavan football. An extraordinary result for the county, for everyone associated with Cavan. What a victory, what a performance. They gave absolutely everything. Today's been a day for heart, desire, passion, just leaving absolutely everything out on the pitch. And don't you know, the results come up trump with Tipperary winning the Munster title earlier today and Cavan winning the Ulster title today. Just absolutely extraordinary in many ways. And Donegal, they've bottled it. They've absolutely bottled it, just like Cork did earlier today, just like Kerry did against Cork. And is that yet again another team where they are thinking of Dublin? And psychologically, there's so many teams that are thinking of Dublin, but of course, in the end, it's Cavan who will play them in an All Ireland semi final. It's just absolutely incredible. I can't even get my words out properly here. But of course, I am here again with my reaction and my thoughts. And yeah, let's get straight into it. What's the story, everyone? It's Aaron here from GA Fan TV, back again, of course, with my match reaction after Cavan have ran out 4-point winners over Donegal in the Ulster Senior Football Final at the Athletic Grounds in Armagh. Wow, absolutely extraordinary stuff from Cavan in the end, who get the 4-point victory. And of course, as always, look, listen, what we'll do is we'll dive straight into the teams that took to the pitch here first of all. So on screen right now is the Cavan team, so you can see Raymond Galligan in there, Jason McLaughlin, Padraig Faulkner, Luke Fortune. Half-back line was Kieran Brady, Killian Clark and Jared Smith. The midfield was Killian Brady and Thomas Galligan. Of course, in the half-forward line, you had Oisin Kiernan, Garrod McKiernan and Martin Riley. Connor Smith, Chris Conroy and James Smith made up the full forward line. The Donegal side had Sean Patton in goal, Owen Van Gallagher, Neil McGee and Owen McHugh. In the half-back line, Patter Mogan, Paul Brennan and Ryan McHugh. In midfield, you had Kayla McGonigal and Hugh McFadden. In the half-forward line, you had Michael Langan, Niall O'Donnell and Brendan McCole. And the full forward line was Paddy McBrearty, Michael Murphy and Jamie Brennan. And, one of the most extraordinary things about this result is that it's the same as 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, Dublin played Cavan and Mayo played Tipperary in an All-Ireland semi-final. And absolutely extraordinary stuff that's happened today. With the weekend that's in it as well, with it being Bloody Sunday, 100 years on, just absolutely extraordinary. And, sometimes things happen and you're like, was all that meant to be? Was that meant to happen? And don't get me wrong, I'm not a believer in destiny or anything like that, or any things that meant to happen, or, make-believe curses and whatnot. But you look at situations like this and you're like, wow, I mean, absolutely incredible. But I suppose on the other hand side, you have Dublin there who'll be licking their lips and they'll be happy that they're playing Cavan over Donegal. Let's be honest here. I think Dublin would have won either game, but wow, I mean, extraordinary stuff. And look, I suppose first of all what we'll do is have a look at some of the scores on the pitch here, because Conor Madden, what a performance from him, coming off the bench, scoring 1-2. Extraordinary stuff altogether. And look, he did get a black card in the second half, and it was a right black card in my opinion. It was cynical. There was no real need to shove his man like he did and push him over the way he did, and it was a bit over the top. So I do think it was a black card, but there definitely were a lot of questionable refereeing decisions on both ends in my opinion, but we will get into that. James Smith hit 2 points, Oisin Kiernan, Garrod McKiernan, Jared Smith all getting on the score sheet, Martin Riley there as well. You had so many different scores on the score sheet for Cavan tonight, and just extraordinary. And in the end, for Donegal, their forwards just didn't show up. Paddy McBrearty hit 4 points, Niall O'Donnell hit 2 points, Michael Murphy only hit 1 point, the likes of Michael Langan only hitting a point, and even Patter Mogan, normally making those overlapping forward runs, and they just weren't there today. And it was a very interesting game, especially in the first half. Donegal were certainly slow out the traps. Cavan had a 5-2 point lead, I believe, at one stage. They were very comfortable hitting early points, and Donegal's defensive lapses, they weren't getting tight enough to a lot of the the Cavan forwards. In my opinion, they weren't getting tight enough to the likes of James Smith and the likes of Oisin Kiernan, who were able to slot points early on. And Yeah, look, a lot of defensive lapses from Donegal. Cavan were turning the ball over. They showed a lot of tenacity, a lot of fight, a lot of heart as well. The black card on the 11th minute, very harsh stuff on Killian Brady, in my opinion. It looked more like a coming together rather than a cynical and deliberate trip, in my opinion. I don't think it should have been a black card, in my opinion. And I do think the referee, he made some very questionable decisions in this game. I actually think the decisions benefited Donegal. Even towards the end of the first half, there was a situation where Killian Brady catches the ball ahead of his man, puts his hand up for the mark, and it doesn't get given. The referee just completely ignores him. And you could see Killian Brady's frustration with the referee at half time. And there was even one situation where Donegal in the second half, should have had a free pulled back. The advantage wasn't called. But look, listen, you can go on and tit for tat about different refereeing decisions. In the end, the better team won. The better team won tonight by an absolute country mile. They were by far the better side. And yeah, Donegal obviously led 9-7 at half time. And once again, Cavan fighting back. And one of the things that impressed me the most about Cavan in this game was just their work rate, the way they kept possession. They kept possession of the ball. They were working it from side to side, and they were patient. They were very patient. They waited for the opportunities to present themselves, and when the opportunities came, they took them. And sometimes they hit shots wide, and sometimes they made errors and they made mistakes, and maybe sometimes hit shots they shouldn't have. But I think we've seen a real difference between Cavan and Cork, where Cork were just trying their absolute hardest to work the perfect score and just couldn't find the space and weren't pulling the trigger, whereas Cavan, on the other hand side of things, were finding the space and were pulling the trigger, and more often than not got the reward for it. And you're looking in midfield, players like Killian Brady, like Thomas Galligan, who were superb. Thomas Galligan, I mean, what a revelation, what a story he's been for Cavan football this season. Coming into the team, coming off the bench in the game versus Monaghan, making an absolute difference. Of course, having two fantastic performances, and gets down as well. He was superb. And obviously in this game, he had a head injury, he carried on. He had a hand injury, he carried on. I'm sure he'll wake up sore tomorrow if he even does go to sleep, because he might be out celebrating, and rightly so in my opinion. And Thomas Galligan, what a performance. Unbelievable stuff. Gerard McKernan as well. Superb at times, dropping into the midfield, supporting the play. Connor Madden, as I said, as well, coming off the bench. James Smith contributing as well. And even defensively for Cavan as well, just really well drilled, well organised, and they deserve a lot of credit. They deserve a lot of credit. And I think another man who deserves a lot of credit, and maybe maybe many people don't give him enough credit, and that's Mickey Graham, the Cavan manager. He was obviously the man who pulled off the incredible shock when Mullen Yokta, the club team in Longford, I think it was in 2018, beat Kilmacud Crokes in a Leinster Championship club game. And here he is now, the Cavan manager, 2 years back to back. He has led them to Ulster senior football finals, and this time around they've won it. Even after Cian Mackey wasn't there, Darragh McVeety as well. A lot of people are forgetting that. Just absolutely extraordinary stuff. They got relegated to Division 3. Most people wrote them off against Monaghan. I wrote them off against Monaghan, and they beat them, and they just went all the way, and now they've won the Ulster senior football title for the first time in 23 years. It's absolutely incredible, and they deserve so much credit for this win, just like Tipperary did earlier today. And yeah, what a win for Cavan. Extraordinary stuff. And for Donegal, look, once again in a big, massive game, they've bottled it, and they've left themselves short, and they've had cold feet in this game. And I had a funny feeling they would underperform in this game. I said it in the preview. I said this would probably be Donegal's worst performance of the season, but I didn't think they'd lose the game. I still thought they would have enough to win the game. And for Donegal, they didn't really seem to get much from their bench as well. Kieran Thompson wasn't there. Oisín Gallen, I don't think he was available. Was he injured? I'm not sure. They just didn't seem to have the options coming off the bench. And in the end, Cavan have come up trump and got the victory. And yeah, look, listen, I am going to wrap this up here. I know a lot of people will want to see the Donegal man, Patrick Sharkey, who of course often comes on the channel. I did record an interview with him a few minutes ago, so that will be up later, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, just absolutely mental. Cavan play Dublin in 2 weeks' time in an All-Ireland semi-final. It's just incredible. And look, How will Cavan get on against Dublin? You know, it's going to be interesting. It's in Croke Park. You don't know. It's going to be interesting, and I'll save all my my talking for when that preview comes around. But yeah, look, listen, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. My name is Aaron. Do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.